So how do we learn English? How do we learn English fast? How do we learn English at home? Is it even possible to learn English? Well, in this video, we're going to be talking about the nitty-gritty and everything there is to know about learning English the right way, and the absolute wrong way to learn English, and everything in between. So without further ado, let's go right into the content. So welcome to the video and welcome to the English intern community, where we learn and internalize English to facilitate communication. And if we just meet, my name is YD and I'm a non-native from Nigeria. I've lived my entire life here in Nigeria, by the way. And from the comfort of my room, from within the comfort of my room, I've been able to improve my communication skills from an absolute beginner level to where I am now. And it's become my passion to help other people do the same. So if you love the sound of that, could you consider subscribing to the channel? So now let's talk about the content. So now, arguably, English is probably the world's #1 language, right? Everybody wants to speak English, right? As a matter of fact, English is becoming more of like the world's mother tongue, if you will. And it's really cool. I think it's really cool to learn to speak English. However, there is the right way to learn English and there is a wrong way to learn English. And being a non-native myself, I can relate to the personal struggles that we all go through as non-natives. You know, we want to learn English, and it turns out there is a right and wrong way to learn English. And I've been at this for quite a while, so I can relate to the struggles and the challenges that we have as non-natives. So now let's talk about, since there's a right way to learn English and a wrong way to learn English, let's talk about the wrong way to learn English now. I need you to understand something. English is essentially a language, okay? It's a language like many other languages, like Korean, Japanese, Chinese. It's a language. It's a way of communicating. It's a form of communicating, or a way of expressing your thoughts. It's a way of, conveying your thoughts, expressing yourself. It's not a way to prove that you are smart. And that is where a lot of us get it wrong as non-natives. It's not a way to prove that we are smart. No, it's a way of expressing yourself. It's a way of, communicating. It's a form of, communication. It's a way of expressing your thoughts, exchanging words, making friends. It's a way of life, if you will. It's not necessarily a way to, prove that you are smart. And that is a wrong approach a lot of us as non-natives have towards learning English. We have an academic approach to English. We approach English as we would mathematics or many other courses that we do in school. That's cool, but if you want to actually be able to speak English, if the goal is to speak English and be able to communicate freely, that's not necessary, and here is why. You see, well, we have an academic approach to learning English, and we learn new words from time to time. Let me know if you can relate to this. Like, hypothetically, if you wanted to learn a word and you go to the dictionary, we learn new words every time. We write down the words, we memorize the meanings, we just keep taking in new words every time, which is totally fine. But I'm saying that's the wrong approach, and here is why. If you learn words, maybe you can relate to this. If you learn words by memorizing words and learning new words every time, what happens is when the time comes to use the word doesn't pop off. The word doesn't come to your mind. The meanings come to your mind. That is why we get confused. Okay, let me give you an hypothetical situation. If you learn a meaning of a word, for example, and the word's got 5 meanings, as you know, a lot of words in the English dictionary has more than 1 meaning. So if you learn a word hypothetically that has 3 meanings, 4 meanings, 5 meanings, I guarantee you when the time comes to use the word, and maybe you can relate to this, the word doesn't come to your mind. The 5 different meanings come to your mind at the same time, and that is why we get stuck. That is why we're like, oh my God, I know this word, I learned this word, I know the meanings, but I can't use it. Why? That's why we get frustrated. That's because we're going about English the wrong approach. That's the wrong way. You don't need to know the meanings of the word to be able to use the word. And that, I can relate to this. Many years ago, I would learn a lot of words. I had a book at the time. I would write words down, I would write the meanings down, I would memorize the meanings. Then when the time came to use the word, I couldn't use them, and I felt really frustrated and I felt insecure, like, what the hell is going on here? Like, I learned these words, I know the meanings, but now I can use it. That's because it's a wrong approach. So if you do that, you might want to pivot your plans a little bit, because it's the wrong approach to actually learning English. So now that we got out of the way, what actually is the right way to learn English? Well, let's go right into it. So now, what's the right way to learn English? Okay, what's the best approach to learning English? Now remember, English is essentially a language, okay? It's a way of communicating. It's a way of expressing your thoughts. It's not a way to prove that you are smart, okay? Now that being said, because English is essentially a language, English is best learned like you would any other language. And what's the best way to learn a language? By learning in phrases. by learning in small groups of words, by learning in chunks. But what does it even mean? Let me give you a practical example so you don't understand. Do you know the meaning of the word good morning? You do, right? Good morning, good afternoon, good night. Now, let me break it down a little further. What does the word good mean? What's the meaning of good? And what's the meaning of morning? Did you know the Oxford English Dictionary has 21 different meanings for the word good in the dictionary? 21 different, did you know that? 21 different meanings for the word good in the dictionary. But do we need to know all that to be able to use the word? Absolutely not. And that is the point. Okay? To learn English, you don't need to know the meaning of the individual words to be able to use them. Why? Because when you begin to learn in phrases, it begins to make a lot of sense to you. Now, good, the word good has 21 different meanings in the dictionary, but I don't need to know that. But the moment someone says to me, good morning, so now I'm understanding in context. I'm understanding in phrases, oh, good morning. I know what they're talking about. I don't need to know the meaning of the word good, but when the word good comes in a phrase, now I understand it. Good morning. You are a good teacher. You are a good person. So now I'm beginning to understand and learning the word without necessarily going to the dictionary to memorize the meaning. This is powerful. This is going to change the game for you, I promise you. Think about it. Hypothetically, let me give you another practical example. Think about the word love. What is the meaning of love? Have you thought about the fact that the words we know best are the words we don't even know their meaning? What's the meaning of love? What's the meaning of go? What's the meaning of come? I don't know. Guess what? We don't need to know why. It's all about phrases, man. It's all about learning in phrases. And I just found out, love has 6 different meanings in the dictionary. But that's not important to us, is it? Remember, the point of the thing is not to prove that we are smart. It's to be able to communicate. So I don't need to memorize the 6 different meanings of love to be able to use the word. Why? It's not important. What's important is that I understand how it's used. So I may not know the 6 different meanings of love, but when someone says to me, I love you, I love the way you talk, I love the way you teach, I love the way you, then I begin to understand, because the word love is now coming in different phrases, different contexts, and now it's making a lot of sense. This is the Holy Grail. I promise you, if you will start to do this, it is impossible for you not to improve in English. You count on it. Quote me on that. This is what really changed the game for me when I began to learn English the right way. So you learn in phrases, okay? The word love may have 6 different meanings. The word go may have 21 different meanings, but that's not important. What's really important is that I understand the phrases. So when someone says to me, I need you to go, then I understand what they're saying. I need you to come. Come with me. So now I'm listening to different contexts. I'm listening to different phrases, and I'm understanding the meaning of the word. If this is how to learn words, very fast and very efficient. So now I'm understanding in context, I'm understanding in phrases without necessarily having to go to the dictionary to learn the meanings, which is why a lot of us get confused. When you memorize the meanings, you get confused. But when you learn in phrases, when you learn in context, it makes a lot of sense. Think about it. Okay? That's the Holy Grail. It made a lot of difference in my life at the time when I started to, pivot my plans and I started to learn the right way. Now, oh my God, this is so mind-blowing. And by the way, that's the way natives learn. We look at natives and we're like, man, these people speak so good, they speak so... But did you know, natives never even use a dictionary. They don't use a dictionary. Why? Because they live in a very supportive environment where English is spoken every time. So they are constantly learning in phrases, okay? So if you ask a native, what is the meaning of this and that, they may not be able to tell you, but they can use it. Because the point is not to know the meaning. The point is to be able to use it. And how do you use a word? How do you learn the word? The efficient and the right way to learn a word is to learn in context, is to learn in phrases. So as you learn in different phrases, you are programming your mind to understand the meaning in different contexts. Okay? So you may not know the meaning of love, and you don't need to know the meaning of love, but you understand when someone says, I love you. Oh, that's what the word means. Okay? So now you're understanding the meaning without using the dictionary. I love you. I love the way you talk. I love the way you teach. I love the way you dress. I love that girl. I love that guy. So now I'm understanding in different contexts without necessarily going to the dictionary. to learn the meaning. So there you go, the wrong way to learn English and the absolute right way to learn English that is guaranteed to give you results. And I promise you, as you begin to utilize this new methodology that we just talked about, you're going to see a tremendous impact in your English learning journey real fast and real quick. Okay? However, if you actually want to take your English learning process a lot more seriously, there's a couple of points I would actually recommend. And first is you got to understand English is a language, okay? And it's impossible to learn any language without hearing and listening to the language. So it's really important that you belong in a community of like-minded people where English is spoken and you hear English from time to time. For example, belong in a Facebook group, which, by the way, I have an English intern community Facebook group in the description below, and you can join that for free. And secondly, you might want to surround yourself with an atmosphere, if you will, of English. And what does that even mean? It means surround yourself with English materials, like listening to songs, listening to music in English, and watching movies in English with subtitles preferably. And that's actually going to help you accelerate and facilitate your growth on your English learning journey. So thank you for indulging me. Thank you for the time. If you really enjoyed it, could you give it a thumbs up? I'd really appreciate it. And I'll see you in the next video.